Over the last decade, we've watched as big tech has grown bigger and bigger. Amazon, Google, Twitter, Facebook have all become unimaginably powerful, impacting the daily lives of nearly everyone, not just in the United States, but around the world. From what we buy to where we get our news, the narratives we see playing out on social media, all are being controlled and manipulated by a select few of unelected oligarchs in Silicon Valley. It's an unprecedented concentration of unchecked power that must be confronted and defeated. And it's becoming more clear now than ever. I mean, just last month, it was reported that Amazon, an American company, has been openly partnering with China's propaganda arm. According to the report, the Chinese Communist Party demanded that Amazon stop allowing customer ratings and reviews on their Chinese website after a collection of Xi Jinping's speeches began to receive ratings of less than 5 stars. Amazon, of course, complied. So where exactly does their allegiance lie? Is it with the United States, the country that has given them the tools they needed to become one of the largest corporate leviathans ever to exist? No. As we've seen over the past decade, their concern is to win the favor of Beijing, a pattern all too common in American corporations. Our Constitution insists that power be separated, not concentrated. No one should be overmighty, not the president, not the government, not the bureaucrats, not big business, and certainly not big tech. So protect the American dream and break up big tech. Here to discuss how we do that is Colorado Congressman Ken Buck. Congressman, what I really want to know is, how does the Communist Party of China have this much control over Amazon?
Well, Amazon's trying to make a profit, and they'll do anything they have to make a profit. And we see this with the major tech companies right now. Apple similarly took an app off of the Apple iPhone because Hong Kong protesters were using it to try to avoid the military police that were stopping their protests. These companies will bend over backwards for totalitarian regimes, and at the same time, they employ some of these same techniques here in America. Amazon refuses to sell certain books from conservatives that they find offensive. And Apple discriminates against conservative speech. Amazon took Parler off of Amazon Web Services because it disagreed with what Parler was doing. These companies are woke. They are discriminating against conservatives, and yet when it comes to their activities in foreign countries, they're just happy if they can make a profit to do anything that foreign governments tell them to do.
So, I mean, how can we hold China accountable if American companies are in bed with them?
Well, American companies shouldn't be in bed with them. These companies, first of all, they shouldn't be acting the way they are here in the United States, but these companies should hold a certain standard in China. And if China doesn't want an American company to operate in China because of that, then that's their loss. We need to make sure that we don't allow slave labor to produce products that are sold in the United States. We need to make sure that we don't lower our standards because of totalitarian regimes in foreign countries.
You know, so what's interesting is you actually, I mean, you're not just, talking the talk, you walk the walk in terms of the way you practice in your own life with some of these big tech companies. So there's this piece written about you the other day, and it says this. It says he doesn't search the web with Google. He says he directs his staff not to order from Amazon. He doesn't use Facebook even to communicate with family. Why do you abstain from these companies, and should other members of Congress do the same?
I don't think just other members of Congress. I think other conservatives, other Republicans, other people in this country who have a conscience should refuse to deal with Facebook. Facebook is a company that has knowingly recognized the ill effects of its product on young teenage girls and their self-image, and seen increased suicides and this body shaming that's going on. They have recognized that their social media app is used for bad purposes by human traffickers and drug dealers. And if we continue to use products like Amazon, like Facebook, like Apple, then we're part of the problem. And so I don't want to be part of the problem. There are times when I don't have a choice, but whenever I have a choice, I try to make sure that I act in a way that is clear that there have to be alternatives. There has to be competition in the marketplace.
Well, I mean, I know I even find myself, I'm happier when I'm not on social media. It really just is this really negative place that I think's had a terrible impact on our society. So I want to get to this. There's this report that says that Vice President Harris regularly calls big tech titans to pick their brains. It says Microsoft Corp President Brad Smith among the leaders whom Harris has sought out in telephone conversations, video conferences, and strategy meetings. I mean, we're talking about companies that have an enormous impact on what we read and see, and Kamala Harris here is strategizing with them. I mean, what does that mean for the political process and elections if she's in bed with these people who control what we read, see, and hear?
Well, it's really interesting that you started by talking about China, and obviously a totalitarian regime, and it's trying to make sure that its people don't receive information. And yet in this country, we deal with a group of companies that make sure that information isn't disseminated to individuals in this country. And they do it for political purposes. We've seen how folks at these companies, Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, consult with Dr. Fauci and the administration in how they should portray the vaccine mandate and how they should portray different problems that arise as a result of COVID. It is clear that the idea of free speech in this country is being inhibited by these monopolies.
Well, and of course, you know, yesterday's conspiracy theory is tomorrow's truth, and we've seen that where you couldn't even talk about the origins of the coronavirus previously. You know, quick 20 seconds, any response? I mean, we just found out that your colleague, Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene, was banned from Twitter. You know, quick response to that.
Well, we have a long history in this country of some people believing in censorship and others believing in free speech. And this is a perfect example. If she was wrong in what she said, the answer is more speech, correct speech, not to censor her. It makes people suspicious.
Oh, you're right. Congressman Ken Buck, thank you for your time.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.